Hey, it's Tom here, and it is time for another special episode of Savor Charlotte Edition, presented by Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority. We're joined by Chayil Johnson, who you might recognize from his appearance as a guest judge in the season premiere episode of Top Chef Season 23 Carolinas. He's the executive chef of Community Matters Cafe in Charlotte and a James Beard nominee for Best Chef Southeast. Chayil, which is spelled Chayil, has embarked on a unique journey to Top Chef and culinary recognition. The New Orleans native runs the kitchen at Charlotte Rescue Mission's Community Matters Cafe, which is a Charlotte hidden gem, but it's also, more importantly, functioning as a nonprofit that helps men and women on their journey to recovery. The cooks, the dishwashers, the servers, the baristas, the hosts, they're all in recovery. And Chayil explains why he left the fine dining scene to take on this mission and why Charlotte is ready to meet its moment of culinary acclaim. Chayil Johnson.
What's going on?
Welcome to the show. This is a long time coming. We met in New York.
February, January.
And I was like, I got to get you on the show because you have an amazing story and one that's both local and got something like deeper meaning, higher power that is, I think, very important to the community of Charlotte. And you're also someone who's gotten some accolades, the James Beard nomination, semifinalist last year for Southeast. Yep. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And also you were on Top Chef in the premiere episode.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you're the executive chef at Community Matters Cafe here in Charlotte, and something we were at an event on Friday at Hope Haven here in Charlotte, kind of an adjacent mission, similar story of Community Matters Cafe is kind of on this recovery, substance abuse path as part of a larger mission, the rescue mission here in Charlotte, to help people who are dealing with addiction, substance abuse, trying to navigate rehab, recovery, and making out into the real world and being successful at that. And you come in as a kitchen, as a restaurant that is full service, not just a restaurant, but also the coffee shop. Yep. It is not just a cool thing that you're doing. The food is awesome.
Thank you.
And it's really, really good food, and the service, it's awesome. But so can you explain to people what Community Matters Cafe is and how you came into that line of work?
Yeah. Community Matters Cafe, we are a branch of the Charlotte Rescue Mission. Charlotte Rescue Mission is a Christian nonprofit recovery and substance abuse center for men and women. And Community Matters Cafe, we started in 2019. It really came about as seeing a need for a continued program for their men and women after they did their 4.5 months of a basic recovery and training to kind of help segue them back into, in reality, an environment that's not built for them anymore. There's no way of permanently avoiding drugs or alcohol in the world because the reality is not all of it is bad. It's just bad for them. So being able to get in a way where they can still fully enjoy and find joy in life, in the day-to-day processes of life, but also being able to deal with the hardships that happen regularly in life without ever having to go back to the red lines of substance. So Community Matters Cafe, we started in 2019. We are a fully free programming for our men and women and fully nonprofit to where all the proceeds from our food, from our coffee drinks, from any of our swag, renting out the space, all of it goes back to supporting our students so they don't pay for their housing, they don't pay for their food, they don't pay for their transportation, medical or legal fees.
You don't have to worry about all that.
Worry about anything. They are there to be able to fully focus on their recovery. And through what we do, we have been able to see a change percentage of the men and women's longstanding sobriety. And beyond just sobriety, their success in life. We've had almost 400 plus students come through the program.
Since 2019.
And from that, we've had over 250 that we've been able to maintain and keep up with that have remained sober through that time. Which is 2 times above the national average from other rescue missions in the country.
Wait, so what is the benchmark for, like you said, 2 times? So what is the baseline that you're working off of in terms of success or sobriety long term?
Generally, looking at somebody maintaining a year of sobriety after they finish some sort of sober living program or whatnot. The average of our men and women, and obviously some of this stuff is hard to always keep up with, so those numbers are where they are, but on average, our program after they finish the life skills program, which is in the cafe, is about 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, you should be really proud of that.
We are. It's hard. It is a hard team effort work, but being able to see that continued success. So I've been with the company for 7 years, the entirety time the cafe has been here. And so being able to see some of our residents who were in that first cohort that are still doing well. I ran into one randomly who's now managing a grocery store last week. And I ran into him and like just not only see their emotional transformation and to see how like they're doing well in life and like, you know, how they're maintaining, but also the physical transformation, the mental transformation of their ability to communicate things, to express themselves, to be back in a society where they can have fun, right? And they don't have to have a fear of taking things too far or falling back into old ways. They've recreated a new lifestyle through a lot of the habits that we've helped instill in them.
Yeah, because I'd imagine it seems like almost an oxymoron to have a sober kitchen or a restaurant, you know, because I've always just reading Kitchen Confidential from Anthony Bourdain, where how much of that lifestyle is infused with going out, getting drinks, and having this kind of rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah. And so you've kind of flipped it on its head.
Yeah. And so really like it kind of started with like building our team. Our team had to be bought in what we were doing. Like my background is not working in kitchens like I work in now. Like, you know, my background is in fine dining. It is in like working in those kind of kitchens that Anthony Bourdain talks about. Same with most of my staff. But we had to come in looking for, we ourselves want something different. I got tired of like the regular standard of what was to be expected. Like I was tired of hearing like, oh, that's just working in the kitchens, right? Like, oh, you're going to miss a holiday. Oh, like someone's yelling at you. Oh, like it's just an unhealthy working environment. That's working in a restaurant, that's working in kitchens, when it doesn't have to be like that. We have allowed it to be. So I think showing that we can do that for our staff shows when all that staff is together to it, what we can do for an even larger community. I
mean, talk about the timing of it all. Is 2019 is like a year right before the pandemic hits. So you're starting this new job. So you're from Laplace, Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
You're growing up in New Orleans kitchens, right? You want to be a musician, right? You want to be.
You listen good.
Saxophone.
Dang.
Right? Was your instrument?
That memory is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're moving into a different line or a different medium, whether it's music versus culinary world. When did you make that turn, and did you ever think you'd be in Charlotte in 2019 as part of a Community Matters Cafe?
No, and it was three things. It was music, baseball, and food.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, baseball.
And so baseball, I was very injury prone. I was a very good baseball player. I was a shortstop. Very injury prone. I ended up having a pretty significant injury, and so I'm like, okay, I don't think baseball's in my cards. And so I had the choice of like either like focusing on one or the other. And I just didn't love music. I realized that like the school that I was going to was really famous for like their jazz and musical theater, like Harry Connick Jr., John Batiste, Lucky Day, Wendell Pierce, like all these people graduated from this high school.
That was your high school?
Yeah. It's called New Orleans Center for Creative Arts. It is like the premier like high school in New Orleans for like famous artists to come out of. It's just like a curator. It's an incubator for artists. And so they had a culinary program. And I tried out for the jazz program, and I'm like, oh wow, like this is hard. It's like really, really difficult, and I don't love it enough to want to work hard at it. Yeah. And I just kind of tried.
It's like Broadway, but for jazz.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're not just anywhere. This is like the place for
This is the place to do it.
Yeah.
But also for Broadway too, because there was like Broadway's, like it was like multiple different disciplines that they had at the school. And so I just didn't love it for jazz. And so they just started the culinary program, and I'm like, you know what? I'll try it out. You know, I like watching Food Network. And I was a kid, I was 12. And I was still playing baseball, but I'm like, I'm gonna try out food too. And I just loved it. Right off the bat. And the thing I always point to where I realized this is something that I could do long term was I didn't know what panic attacks were when I was a kid, but I have like panic attacks before every recital that I did, before every baseball game that I played. I'm talking like, throwing up, vision going in and out kind of stuff. And cooking was the first thing that I did that I wouldn't say I wasn't scared, but I wasn't scared to mess up. Like I was
There's
able.
no fear of failure.
No, it was just like, if I messed up one day, it's like, oh, I'm going to go harder tomorrow to do it. Whereas it was like when I was playing baseball, it was like, if I messed up, the whole world ended.
Why do you think that is?
I think it was just like my own expectation that I put on myself. I think when I discovered that I was like talented and good at baseball, and people would like cheer me on, this fear of disappointing others. And it was crazy because like I didn't have like helicopter parents. Like my dad wasn't trying to live vicariously through me, through baseball or whatnot.
You didn't have that stereotypical like guys just really hard on you.
No, like
Bob Knight, just
none of that.
Yeah.
And I think I just created this false narrative in myself that I had to be perfect at it immediately, especially when I noticed that people recognized I was good. With cooking, I came at it with no expectation of how good I could be at it, because I was just kind of more recently discovering at what level of professional you could be as a chef. And so at 12 years old, I got into it intensely. And like every volunteer opportunity, every cooking event, every extra credit, extra hours thing. And we did like our high school that we did, our first chef instructor, a lady named Dana Dianzi-Tui, she was Emeril Lagasse's executive chef in his Las Vegas restaurant. To my knowledge, she was the first executive female chef in the Las Vegas Strip. And she was our instructor, and God bless that woman. She did so much working with me. Still today, one of my good friends and mentors. And just like instilled this level of being able to like really, really love doing something, working hard at it, but then having fun too. But it was difficult work. Like we were doing the Johnson & Wales curriculum.
In high school.
In high school. We got what would have been our associates by our like sophomore year. And they had to continue to build it because at the time Johnson & Wales didn't have a bachelor's in culinary arts. So they built it more. So we got what would have been our bachelor's by like junior year of high school.
Wow.
So like I said, the intensity, all the different events that we did with Emeril, he would bring us out, to all of us kids, to volunteer at his different events throughout the city. So I got to work. I've done events with Anthony Bourdain. I did not know who he was at the time, but with Anthony
Was
Bourdain.
he Anthony Bourdain at that point, or was it?
This was 2000. Yeah. This is like 2011.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Anthony Bourdain, Thomas Keller, Chef Forgione, so on and so forth. Like all the big names.
And so if you're watching Food Network, those are the Michael Jordans and Steph Currys and Kobe's of the world. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is going to teach you how to skyhook.
Basically. So like stuff like that I got to experience as a kid was really, really cool. People that I got to, work with and grow with. And so, and from there, like, Emeril Lagasse, I won the scholarship from Emeril, that got me a scholarship to go to Johnson & Wales, which I ended up in Charlotte. Yeah. But no, never had any, in my eyes, I was going to stay in New Orleans, and I was going to like continue to build my career in New Orleans restaurants, kind of just cutting my teeth down here. But like this opportunity came, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to Charlotte, get my degree. I'm going to come back in New Orleans, work for some more years and try to own my own place, go that standard route. And life had a different story.
What year did you graduate, Jay-Woo?
February 2018.
Okay. So what is the Charlotte reputation as a culinary community when you're graduating from Johnson & Wales?
As a Johnson & Wales graduate, or at the time overall?
What was your impression of like, can I make a career here in Charlotte and be fulfilled as a chef?
The answer was probably no. That I could.
Coming from New Orleans, man.
Yeah.
Like,
also, coming to Charlotte was my first. I mean, we vacation and stuff, but I lived in Louisiana my whole life.
Yeah.
Up to that point, I didn't realize how different New Orleans culture was from everywhere else in the country, especially the rest of the South. So when I came up, in
what ways?
One, how we go about food. And I'm not just talking about cooking it. Like, food is a part of our culture. It's surrounded everything we do. Festivals, like music festival stuff, is generally surrounded by seasonality of things. Crawfish, oysters, king cake, satsumas, rice, Natchitoches meat pies.
It all revolves around the food.
Everything we do is revolved around food.
Yeah. And the seasons and What the timing of it?
When they come about. And so coming up to Charlotte, and I remember like my second night in Charlotte, it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock on a Friday. And I'm like, I'm going to walk through Uptown and see what's good. And everything was closed.
Yeah.
Now, again, this was 2015.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of change since then.
Yeah.
But, so like after I graduated, I'm like, I'm going to work here for a little bit. I actually had an opportunity to potentially go and work at a restaurant in Seattle. And I was going to go and do that. But I was working for this other nonprofit that I'm still involved with, helping like inner city kids. And basically the kids had begged me to wait until they graduated their program, which would have been for like another year and a half. And so I'm like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay in Charlotte for a year and a half and watch.
Good on you, kids, because we kept Kyle.
Watch the kids that I've mentored up to this point, finish throughout their school. And I was at, I started off, the first place I worked after graduate was the Asbury.
Yep.
In Charlotte. And the Asbury at the time was one of the hottest restaurants in the city. So it was competitive. The crew that we had was crazy. Miranda Martin was the pastry chef. She had just won Best Pastry Chef of the Year of North Carolina. We had one of my best friends, Brandon Stadden, who's now the sous chef at Supperland. Mike Long, Matt Krenz. I mean, if you were to look at the names that came out of the Asbury,
it's like the Fab Five.
It really was.
Yeah.
Even before us, it was like just an incubator of talent. So I was at the Asbury for a little bit. Ended up becoming a sous chef there, and honestly, and this is no shot at the Asbury or that team or anything like that, but I was anything that I did, I put my all into. And I just started burning myself out. I mean, I was working like 70 to 80 hours every single week. I was like getting there at 3 a.m. because it was in a hotel too. So there was like a lot of like different services that we had. So I was getting there from like 3 a.m. and leaving at 10 p.m. at night. And just like doing way too much. And I had a little bit of a health scare from basically sleep deprivation. And our former front house manager from there had left to actually open up what's now the cafe. And I think I came in one day and I didn't say good morning, which was very unlike me. And Miranda, who now also works with us at the cafe, who's the pastry chef at the time, she pulled me aside. She's like, I don't think you should work here anymore. She said, she's like, this is like, it's changing who you are, like almost on a spiritual level. She's like, I think you should go and check out what Jenny and them are doing at Charlotte Rescue Mission. And up to this point, that whole time, I thought the Charlotte Rescue Mission was a dog shelter. And so I'm like, I mean, I like dogs. I'm not changing the whole career path. Because then she's like, no. They're doing some really
picking up poop and all.
Yeah, that's not my role. Yeah. That's not my call. And so she's like, no, look them up. She's like, I think they're doing like this coffee shop and restaurant that's working with men and women in addiction. And just based on who I know you are, I think you'd fit in that really well. And so I the next day was my off day, and I called up Jenny. And I was like, hey, I heard what y'all doing at Community Matters. I love to come and like talk to y'all. And I was just looking at potentially another volunteer opportunity to be able to like help in the community. And
you didn't know what it would become.
No. And when I called her, she was like, Kyle, that's crazy. I was just texting you, like asking if you could come in because we were talking about you and we think you'd be a really good fit here. So I go in. They hadn't even opened yet, and what was just supposed to be like a quick little meeting, I ended up staying with them for like 3 hours. And I signed my paperwork that day to go and work there.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
This is what I need.
And I remember like, it was the most impulsive thing I've done because I took a demotion because I went from being a sous chef at the Asbury, which was like...
Yeah, for those who don't know, the Asbury is a very good restaurant, a nice restaurant in Uptown.
Yeah.
And like if at that time, and still to this day, if you want to go on a date night, really nice meal, you're going to the Asbury.
Yeah. And so I went from being a sous chef at the Asbury to demoting myself to a line cook. And then obviously they couldn't pay me as much. So I'm like, but no, I think this is really where I'm supposed to be. I remember my dad is a financial advisor and he's my financial advisor. And so I called him up and I told him what I was doing. And, I have two modes of my dad. It's like when he's my father.
Yep.
And then he was my financial advisor. So he's like, oh, Kyle, this is beautiful. Like, I love to hear that. Can I talk to you as your financial advisor? I'm like, yeah. He's like, this is not a good idea. You're going to be dipping into your savings in months. Don't do this. I'm like, I think like I'm going to go out on this risk and do it because I really do feel called to do this. And long story short, it's worked out.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well.
Well, I think it has. And not even just the accolades you've gotten, but the people that you've helped along the way and been able to cultivate that turnaround in their lives. It's weird to think that you also had a hole in yourself that you were looking to fill, or other people recognized that you were burning yourself out or that it was changing you. Do you think that in some ways you were healed or healing at Community Matters Cafe in ways you could not have foreseen?
Without a doubt. I think coming there and the way that they emphasized on things that I never really conceptualized, like work-life balance, and what, we all talk about it, but what does it really mean? And at the end of it, it's not this, that means you have to only work this amount of hours, or this is what you have to do in your off time. It's just about taking care of yourself. It's about being able to listen to your body, listen to your heart and your mind, and knowing what Kyle, whoever you are, what you need. For that, sometimes that is working harder. Sometimes it is just taking a rest day. Sometimes it's going to hang out with friends. Sometimes it's like, how are ways I can build joy and bring joy into the work that I do? And beyond an individual doing that, working for an organization that believes in that as a whole was life-changing for me. I have two of the hardest working parents. Growing up, my parents didn't come from, both of my parents basically came from nothing. And I don't say that in any disparaging way towards the rest of my family, but both of my parents didn't have a lot, and they had to really grind and work, for everything that they've done. They've built a very successful life, but I watched my dad waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning. My mom homeschooled. I'm one of 6. My mom homeschooled all of us because they didn't trust the Louisiana school system to educate us in the way that they wanted. And also to point out, all of me and my siblings have graduated with honors in college early.
They're pretty good.
So they did. My mom and dad did a pretty good job. But I watched my parents grind. And so that's what I knew. I knew how to put my head down and to work. My whole thought process towards rest was I was going to work until I was too physically tired to keep my eyes open. I literally did that for years.
I mean, we could talk for hours about that in sports too, is the Mamba mentality of just like going to the gym all night if you have a bad game and just getting up 1,000 shots. And like for some people that might work, for some others it's attacks on your body and on your mind, that there's this idea that you need to put in so many hours. I remember Ty Lue, the coach of the Cavs, had to take a leave of absence from his job, and Steve Clifford here in Charlotte, because literally they were like coughing up blood from just sleep deprivation, travel, and not taking care of their bodies. And in many ways, it was a product of this mentality that if you're not grinding all the time, you're behind.
Yep.
And so that in a kitchen, and I'm guessing in substance abuse, is dealing with that realization that it's healthy to take care of yourself, and don't feel that is that's soft, So I'm guessing that also helps you kind of navigate your own life. Is okay, I'm going to teach you guys this, or I'm going to emphasize this, but also it's my life story too. Yeah.
And to be clear, I still do a lot. I do a lot of things. I'm still a busy guy, but I'm able to I think I'm able to do more now in my life because when I rest hard and I rest fully. Like when I'm working, I'm working.
Yeah.
Now I have fun when I'm working, but I'm working. Yeah. I'm getting things done. And when I'm resting, all that stuff is to the side. I may not be perfect at it, but I'm trying harder at it. And I feel like I've gotten a little bit better.
What was the crazier phone call? Hey, you're nominated for a James Beard, or hey, we want you on Top Chef to appear on the premiere?
James Beard was crazier because, one, it wasn't a phone call. They don't call you.
So this is crazy. My friend Jason Glenn was at Salud. He was asked by a reporter, hey, what do you think about getting nominated by a James Beard? And he's like, by a what?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry. That's how we got the news.
Yep.
So they don't tell you?
No, I found out it was last year. It was when it snowed in Charlotte last year in 2025. The roads were really bad, so we closed the cafe that day. So I just happened to be scrolling on my phone, and I saw the James Beard Awards came out on Instagram. And I'm just scrolling through the list, and that's how I found out. The moment I saw my name, I started getting text messages from people. So if I wasn't on my phone in that moment, I wouldn't have known. They don't contact you about it.
So in the NBA, they find out they get traded from Shams Charania or some reporter or scrolling through Instagram or on Twitter. That's what happened with you getting a James Beard nom.
Yeah. So
they got to change that.
They do.
Hey, James Beard Foundation, we got to find a way to get.
Call us.
Yeah.
Call us.
Come
Call
on,
us.
man. Let them know.
But that was a part. But I think now that everybody knows that, it's like we know what day they're coming out. But now it's just like you just have to scroll on the Instagram and see who's on the list. It's almost like when they do like in high school when they would put like the who made the team
they put
on
it
the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that at this point, but a phone call would be pretty cool.
Well, it's like the NFL when they get inducted into Canton.
That's exactly what I'm
rolls
thinking.
Up to their house,
knocks on the door,
and he has the jacket.
Has that gold jacket.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say the James Beard was like more like wow, that came out of nowhere. Also because I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't like I was in talks with the James Beard Foundation. We had put our name for a James, because you can nominate yourself. We nominated the cafe years before, and it just like, because we didn't know you could nominate yourself. So years ago, we're like, let's just throw our name in there and see what happens. And we did. And then after that, it's like I stopped thinking about it. And so when it happened, it was fully unexpected. With Top Chef, it wasn't because they had reached out to me to be a contestant on the show already. And it just didn't work out for me time-wise. Like it's also a lot of time you got to commit to be on Top Chef.
Mm-hmm. And you got a lot of people, not just the kitchen, but there's a lot of people that, rely on Chayil Johnson. So
it was a hard to like, it's like almost, was it 8 to 10 weeks?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. 8 to 10 weeks if you make it all the way into the show. And so I'm like, I'm not going to commit to that, which turned out to be the right decision. But then I think I called the casting agent and told her I wasn't going to be able to do it. 30 minutes later, Laura White calls me.
From CRVA.
Also, at this point, I don't even think I had met Laura before, so I didn't know how she had my number. But Laura White calls me and she's like, hey, I'm sure you've heard Top Chef is coming to Charlotte. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, we'd be interested in the Top Chef people would like to meet with you about some sort of like collaboration, whether that's being on the show in some capacity. I'm like, oh, did y'all just hear that I'm not like competing? And she's like, no, I haven't.
Oh, so it's totally independent.
Completely. She had no idea about that was being like potentially casted. And so there was all that. And then they ended up coming to the restaurant. And they originally wanted to shoot an episode at the restaurant, but the logistics of it just didn't work out. And then like a week, then they, I don't want to say ghosted me, but like 2-3 months went by. I didn't hear anything from them. And then August rolls around and they hit me up and they're like, hey, they love talking to you. We would love to have you on the show as a guest judge on the first episode. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. And I'm like, when is it? And they're like, it's next Monday. This was a Wednesday, I think, or maybe like the Wednesday before. It was less than 10 days.
Yeah.
In between. And they're like, does it work in your schedule? I'm like,
I'll make
I'll make that work. That's fine. So that was already in my mind. So it was a little less surprising, but just as cool, probably. And just as, cause like, same thing. I probably knew about Top Chef before I knew what a James Beard Award was.
Yeah, this in some ways was more famous or more bigger in your world.
Yeah, because also I remember when the first season of Top Chef that I watched in full was when it came to New Orleans. Nina Compton, who's now a legend in New Orleans, when she was competing down there,
they still talk about how Nina got robbed.
Yes. Is that okay to talk about on here?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she was fully. Yeah. And I like no disrespect to who won. I do not remember the name of the chef who won that season, but yeah, Nina was killing it every episode.
Yeah.
And she won that finale.
Yeah, and so when Top Chef reaches out and you agree to go on the show, was there, you talk about panic attacks in the baseball field and jazz before the recital. Are you the same way when you have these moments of, going to a James Beard Foundation event or on Top Chef? Is it like the game 7 of a high school baseball game for you that you're nervous going into it, or is it a separate thing?
It's a separate thing. And nerves still happen. Like I still get like, a little shaky, a little feeling in your stomach and whatnot. But 2 things. One, I don't remember who told me this or where I read this from, but nervousness and excitement to the body are the same thing. It's just about where your mind's at. with it. Like it's the same like biological reaction that happens when you get nervous or excited. So when I ever start to feel nervous, I just try to think more positively and change that to excitement. Second thing is from the career that I've had now working at the rescue mission in the cafe, like, you know, I've seen the decisions I made impact people's lives. So what is a show for real? Just as excited for it. And it's a really cool opportunity. But it's like, you know, with the depths of what, I'm not trying to get morbid with this, but the depths of what we do at the cafe, we've had students like, you know, pass away from, you know, not being able to continue their recovery and going back into addiction and ODing. You know, I've seen some really crazy stuff and some really, really sad stuff. And so it really puts everything into perspective. And so it makes these things, even though still very fun and still very cool and still things that you can be a little nervous about, at the end of the day, it's like I'm still going to wake back up at 4 o'clock and go work with these men and women to try to put them in a position where their lives are saved. So it levels it a lot.
Yeah, and you're going on trying to have a good time, right? So it's Top Chef.
Yeah.
You're eating all these plates. You're the first episode, so you had to eat how many dishes? 14, 15 dishes?
15.
15 dishes. What was that like?
I didn't know we weren't supposed to finish the whole dish.
Come on.
And then I got to like the third team, and I'm realizing like none of them are finishing these whole plates. So I'm like, all right, I think I'm supposed to pace myself out. But it was really, really fun. I cannot express anymore how cool Kristen Kish, Tom Colicchio, and Gail Simmons were. Like meeting them backstage, because in my mind I'm like, you know, they always talk about don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I've met a lot of like really, really famous chefs and celebrities in the hospitality and food world, and some of them are great. Some of them are douchebags and just like not nice or kind people. Off air, I can tell you which ones were the worst. But, you know, so in my mind, I'm like, all right, Kyle, like they could be like, you know, they could be these divas and whatnot. Right off bat, Kristen Kish walks up. She's like, oh my God. First off, she pronounced my name correctly.
Which is also a big tell.
Also a big thing.
Yeah.
She's like, oh my God, Chef Kyle, such a pleasure to meet you. I've been researching your restaurant the last couple of days. Love to see what you're doing. I'm just so excited that you're here. And it was very real. Same with Gail Simmons. Same with Tom. Tom was a little intimidating at first, because I think just naturally, like he's just like a very stoic kind of person.
Oh, yeah, he's Tom Colicchio. Yeah.
But also just like, and I mentioned this a couple times before, and some other things I spoke on. They're chefs, like especially like Tom and Kristen. You can tell they're still like in their head like chefs. So they're not bigger than anybody in that regard. And I love the respect that they showed everybody in the room. Because in my mind, like when I got in there and I'm like, that's Tom Colicchio, like getting sized for a suit right now, and Sean freaking Brock.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you were on with Sean. Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I doing here?
Oh, come on.
Like why? In my head, I'm like, why am I here? And then
it's
like,
very real. Yeah.
And then I start nerding out with Sean Brock because he's really, really big into like old school music. And he's talking about how he's just got it into like New Orleans funk and like big band jazz and stuff. And I was telling him about my high school. I was telling him about the Mardi Gras Indians. I was telling him, like, recommending some music he should go and listen to. And I'm like, wow, Sean Brock is like getting like nerded out with this with me. And I paused. I was like, I'm Chef, I'm sorry. Because at this point, like, I didn't really acknowledge who he was. Like I said, like, oh, Chef, nice to meet you. And I'm like,
He
Chef,
loved that conversation more than anything he could have talked to you about food. I'm just telling you.
I felt it. Yeah.
You know, like, because people rap with him about food all the time. And there's a certain sense of release when you don't have to perform or don't have to be on about your food. And you could talk about your, like, a side passion that you shared.
I like that term, being on about it. Like this feeling of like having to be on and on guard all the time with it. I feel the same way with me about sports. Like when I think that was cool when you and me had the conversation when we were walking to the restaurant in New York, when we just started nerding out, because I get so in depth with sports. Like it was almost another career path for me. Before I went to college at Johnson Wales, I created a list of like contingency ideas. What if culinary arts wasn't for me? What if it didn't work out? What else would I study? And I was looking at sports journalism. because I do really love watching and analyzing and talking and writing about sports that much. So when I was talking with you, and I'm like, oh, this guy knows ball, but this guy knows more ball than me because he's actually a professional. And so so like just that idea of like being on or not being on all the time.
Were you like practicing, rehearsing lines that you're gonna say on the show? Did you have your like bam, like Emerald Lagasse?
No, because I knew if I was thinking like that, I was gonna mess something up. So I'm like, I'm just gonna be Kyle.
Yeah.
And I think on camera, I looked way too serious. But I also think sometimes, like when I'm working, that is me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was cool.
Yeah, and Chef Nana had that moment of she had a panic attack on the show, and it was, I think, maybe the most iconic or memorable moment of the season so far. So we've got a few more episodes left as we're taping this. But thinking back on what we're going to think about the Top Chef Carolina season, it might be the moment that you were there for.
Yeah.
And I think it actually speaks to you as a chef and helping people. That must have been a crazy moment for you too, is just like, I'm on Top Chef and I was here for this moment that also spoke to anxiety, panic attack, or just the emotional toll that
the pressure we put on ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was that experience like for you sitting there at the table?
At first it was confusing because I thought it was like, I thought someone was celebratory, like screaming about something. So we all couldn't, like in the show, the way they edited, you couldn't really tell. You see all of us turn. And at first some of us laughed, and I'm glad they edited that out because I think we laughed because we thought someone was like, yeah, like because they played it something in time. But then we heard Nana crying. And Kristen was the first one who was like, oh, I don't think she's okay. And so very beautiful moment when Kristen would go. Also, that was very real because Kristen told them to cut the cameras when she went go do that. So that's where I'm like, oh, this isn't TV magic. Like this is actually going on. And also, I actually knew Nana before this. We've worked events together. She's been down in Charlotte before for the Bay Haven Food and Wine Festival. So like we've run in the same circles before a bit. And we have some mutual friends. So seeing that was really, really tough. But seeing how she bounced back from that in that moment and still actually didn't put out a bad dish.
I know. Tom loved it too. Yeah.
And you know what? The comments on social media were a little bit crazy about it. But guys, you have to understand, like, you know, and I say all this very like subjectively on that episode's level. Because obviously like Lawrence can cook his behind off. But like, and I said it for the episode is like, I don't think Lawrence's dish was better than Nana's in that moment. I did not know because I voted for, I think it was Anthony.
Okay.
In that group, another JWU alum. I voted for Anthony because I didn't think we could vote for a dish that wasn't complete. But then afterwards I said, oh, I would have voted for Nana too because what I had on my plate was the best tasting thing and it made the most sense potato-wise. But overall, to really answer your question, like, yeah, like, you know, it was tough because I'm like, I can imagine like that amount of pressure that you have to perform, especially when you know you're about to be like seen by hundreds of thousands of maybe millions of people on national television, and all that building up inside of you, especially if you think you're doing okay and then like it's like, oh, 10 minutes left and then you're really able to see what's going on. And probably also when you are a good chef, like Nana's, if you're on Top Chef, you're a good chef. So to know that like one simple mistake or one bad day can paint your whole career potentially in a bad light, where like the whole internet and people that don't know who you are, never been to your restaurant, never had your food, can paint you in something that you know that you're not. That's a lot of pressure. But shout out to Nana for bouncing back on that and, you know, staying strong and having some good performance. I know she ended up, you know, getting voted off, but she has some good performances throughout the season before she got left.
100%. And I do think that she has a soft spot for a lot of people who watch the show because we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there. Maybe not on national TV, but we've all had a moment that was like a make or break moment in your life.
Yeah.
Where you felt like things weren't going your way and it just all fell apart. And she can't run from that.
Yeah.
And I think we all kind of felt for her in that moment, and you knew her personally. So that's that was a wild episode to be a part of, and for you personally, that was probably just as you're walking out of La Belle Helene that day, you must have been like, that really just happened.
Yeah,
yeah, and ever since, the spotlight's on the city, you know, like Top Chef has brought a lot more eyeballs to the city and the Michelin Guide and all of the attention now to the city. What would you like to tell the audience about Charlotte and why you, a product of Laplace and New Orleans, you've been here for almost a decade now.
Yeah. Over 11 years now.
Over 11 years now. you're still here.
Yeah.
And what do you want people to know about Charlotte?
I want people to know that do not compare us to other cities in the country, because we're not comparing other cities in the country to other cities in the country. We're not comparing New Orleans to LA. We're not comparing New York to Chicago. We're not comparing Atlanta to Seattle, right? We're allowing them to have their autonomy of being who they are and what they are, and we've given them that time to grow. Obviously, Atlanta is one of the easier ones to compare it to, because they're right around the corner. I think people look at it as like a similar layout of not only like metropolitan build, but also like timeline of like how long it's been a large city. But the reality of it is like Charlotte's growing infrastructure continues to change it a lot. And so as it's changing, just speaking on hospitality sense, hospitality has to continue to adjust to make really, really good product. But at the same time, as a business, you have to make something that the people will like. And so as new people are coming in, they're trying new things and they're experimenting with concepts and whatnot. And a lot of them, I mean, restaurants are one of the most volatile, industries in the world. And so like, you're going to have more that don't work out than that do. And so don't let the ones that don't work out or just don't work out for that time be the arguing point of why it's not good or why the whole industry here isn't good. There are so many restaurants here that are doing amazing food and that have amazing chefs. If I need a whole hour to go down the list. I mean, you got Andres Kiefer, Chris Coleman, Brittany Cochran, obviously, who competed, Eric Ferguson, Oscar Johnson, Daryl Cooper. You got what Jeff and Jamie of Brown and Tony Daniel have been doing with all of their concepts, so on and so forth. And they're all of us are doing different stuff, and all of us are doing it beautifully, and there's so much collaboration in that. So I think if people were to take the time to find what they like, I think they can then find what they like in Charlotte. Because do we do the best dim sum in the country? No, we probably don't. Do we have the best Cajun food in the country? No, you're not
working on it.
We're working on it, but you're not right now. You're not going to find it. But there are people that are doing really good things, and find out what that niche is, because there are so many different pockets here in Charlotte. And I think it's a community that does care, which is the closest thing I can compare it to New Orleans. Is it's a culinary community that cares about each other and they care about the people that are eating the food. And we really want to do well.
Would you say that outside of Community Matters Cafe? Like, you work at Community Matters Cafe, and it seems like it's a multi-dimensional, we care about the people who work here. But even outside of that, you're saying Charlotte really cares about the community, the people in the industry and beyond.
I think we put so much effort into making a more sustainable industry for this new wave. I mean, I kind of came in at the changing of the old guard, but I also started in the industry super, super young. Like, I started working in my first restaurant when I was 14. So like, I kind of came in at that end of when it's like, you can't just like be hollering at people. You can't be throwing things and whatnot. I did get and see a little bit of that. But as I become an adult, it's like, okay, now we're getting these new wave of kids from Johnson and Wales and so forth that are coming in, where we can like, all right, let's adjust this thing and make this a better environment for them, where it's more sustainable for them to grow and to learn and to put out their art in a way that can be received. So like seeing like some of these other kitchens in Charlotte, like, I wouldn't want to associate myself with chefs who I didn't principally agree with how they treated other people. And I have a lot of chef friends in the city, so I think that speaks for it. Yeah,
very cool. I think what you're doing is incredible.
Thank you.
I have family that have dealt with addiction issues, and I think it's really important to have that step of having a job or a place of service, the restaurant, working in the kitchen, where everyone is kind of pulling in the same direction of understanding the environment is also super helpful and conducive to sobriety and getting back into the real world. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think there are not many places in the world that do what you're doing here in Charlotte. And that's got to be, I don't know, when you lay your head to rest at night, you got real workplace issues, right? You got you got a restaurant to open, like all this stuff. But there's also this other element that is got to be fulfilling in ways that I don't think when you're leaving the Asbury, you quite understood. And now it's a real part of you.
Yeah. I would say it like this. I can have the worst day ever at the cafe. Like, we could have had a terrible service. We could have forgot to put the order in for something. We could have dropped the ball on something catering wise, whatever. Go to sleep. I wake up. Those students and residents that are coming in for their programming for this, for them, it's like, it's another day I'm alive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta be there for them, and I get to be here for them. I get to experience them experiencing joy, and that brings joy to me. And for them and for my staff, a lot of my staff, same thing, are like coming from either bad restaurant systems or trying to like adjust. I think like you kind of pointed on it, like community matters kind of become a beacon even for like the full-time staff that are there too, like myself, and has like brought new life into them. So being able to be there for my staff, being able to be there for the residents first and foremost, and then being there for myself for it as well has been really important. It's been like something that's like gets me excited to wake up for work every morning.
How can people who are listening to this get involved?
Well, one,
besides coming to the,
I was about to say, easiest thing, come in and dine, all proceeds, every penny that you spend at the cafe goes back into our life skills program with our students in the Charlotte Rescue Mission. You go on the Charlotte Rescue Mission website, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities. Obviously, since all the funds that we make go into taking care of our students, we still have to pay our staff and take care of overhead and all of that. So we do a lot of different fundraiser events throughout the year that we accept volunteers for. We do a 5K that we're doing on August 29th that we're taking volunteers for to help us out with. We do like a clay shoot. So you can either buy tickets to things like that or volunteer to come and help us. If you can't volunteer money, volunteer your time. It's the easiest way to get involved and be able to spend time with our students. I host different dinners throughout the year that are also fundraisers for the cafe. So, and we take volunteers for that. So like I said, like volunteering that, we have different tiers of donation processes that you can also do if you're capable of. But just getting involved, getting to meet these men and women and be a part of their lives. We have graduations. We actually have a graduation. Obviously, this is gonna air when this is done. But we have a graduation for our students that we treat like almost like a college or high school graduation. Like they get a cap and gown. We celebrate them. So being able to, and it's open to the public. You can come in and join us as awesome. We walk these men and women out into their next stage in life.
Oh, it's great. And I feel like it adds an element of an experience when you're there. It's not just a transactional thing. When you go to a restaurant, you have your meal and then you walk away. You're meeting someone that you know that you are having a fundamental impact on their lives by coming in and supporting them and their goal of entering into the real world with all the dangers of the real world that we all face, but also that they're up against a disease that is so fierce and that it's weird to say, but like I remember eating it and just be like, no, this is not like charity here. This is like the food is great, the people are great, and the cause is great. And so if you want a full 360 experience, you got to go to Community Matters Cafe. You won't regret it. So thank you. And it's been a real pleasure to get to know you and understand what you're all about and your whole story, man. If you want to get in the sports media business and be a journalist, I would say no, because you're doing too good of a job here that we need more Chayil Johnsons in the world. So.
Well, maybe when I hang my apron up, that'll be the next thing. But I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you.